Hello everyone, it's Darkseeker here again. Welcome back for another video. Today we are back on Wild Mode and I'm playing Tezzmizzet's Dragon Reno Priest. Now, what compelled me to play this deck? Well, a viewer of our channel, his name is Alby Bro, about a week ago said to me, he said, could you try Tezzmizzet's Dragon Reno Priest? I think the deck's very strong and incredibly underrepresented, so much that I don't even find footage of it anywhere, because while it is a bit vulnerable to Druid, like most control decks, you have to hope to find a Dirty Rat in time or get lucky with Deathlord. It absolutely destroys all types of aggro and even Shaman. It's also good versus Reno Lock because Entomb is OP and is good against random control decks. So thank you to Alby Bro for your request and your comments last week, and based on that I thought, okay, let's give Reno Priest a try. It's been a long time since I've played Reno Priest, and I remember back when I did last play it, I had a lot of fun. So it plays very differently to Reno Lock. Reno Lock, which I think is still superior, by the way, by a long stretch, purely because of the ability to tap in Reno Lock. And the Demon package, I think, is stronger than the Dragon package, and having N'Zoth and Gul'dan to bring back two big waves of threats is pretty incredible in itself. And if you play Zola on N'Zoth, you get a third wave of threats. So I feel that Reno Lock has more staying power than Reno Priest. But the decks do play slightly differently as well. Of course, Reno Lock, you can tap for cards, keep tapping, look for solutions, look for answers. Card draw in this deck is limited. I mean, you have Northshire Cleric, right? Which in the early game, if it gets healed up several times, you can draw several cards. That's still pretty insane. But you have to have the right circumstances, the right situation for that to happen. So you've heard me compare this to Reno Lock, and you're thinking, well, what's the point of playing Reno Priest then? It doesn't really do as much. Well, the strength of this deck is, there's two big strengths. Firstly, you Shadow Reaper Anduin in this deck with Raza. And the 2 damage Priest hero power now would cost 1. Of course, back in the day, before Raza got nerfed, the Priest hero power cost 0, and that was insane. That was absolutely insane, because you'd play cards like Spawn of Shadows, and you'd on a single turn you could kill your opponent by comboing the 0 cost hero power with lots of cheap spells or cheap minions, that cost 1 or 2, and with Spawn of Shadows on board, you could just end up killing your opponent. So that was back when Spawn of Shadows and the 0 cost hero power was so OP that they nerfed poor old Raza. But still, a 1 cost 2 damage hero power is still pretty okay. It's pretty decent. And, if you do have some cheap spells or cards in hand, you can still get a little bit of a combo in, maybe killing your opponent, if you're lucky, or certainly doing your best to clear minions on board. I think in this deck, that's where that Priest hero power really comes in handy. Shooting down minions on board, lowering their health totals, helping to put forward good trades with your minions. So that's where the hero power does shine in this deck. What else is really good about this deck? The Dragon package, right? So, Draconid Operative is still a great card. It honestly is. You can discover, a choice of cards from your opponent's deck and pick one. Sometimes that is game winning, particularly comboed with Bran Bronzebeard, and also Bran Bronzebeard in Netherspite Historian to discover a big, massive dragon. Because when you look at this deck, the only late game dragon that we're playing is Primordial Drake, which is being played for board clear. But with Netherspite, you can discover the likes of Ysera, Deathwing, whatever big, massive dragon suits a particular situation. If you're going the long game with someone, plopping down a Ysera, in the late game that can't be answered is a big deal. So yeah, the Dragon package enabled by Bran Bronzebeard is a massive selling point of this deck. Kazakus, another selling point, of course. You have a multitude of board clears in this deck. You have Dragonfire Potion, you have Light Bomb as well, Psychic Scream, Duskbreaker, Spirit Lash, lots of ways to control the board, which makes this deck really, really good against aggro. Warlocks have Demon Wrath, they have Hellfire, but we have Spirit Lash on turn 2, we have Potion of Madness on turn 1, so really this deck has an advantage early with board clears. So yeah, Excavated Evil is also a card that we shouldn't forget. And let's just remember that Entomb, so Alby Bro alluded to this in his comments from last week, Entomb can be absolutely broken in the right situations, in the right circumstances. It can be a massive deal. A lot of people are sort of, you know, I think rag on Entomb a bit. They say it's a waste of 6 mana because you're only stealing 1 minion. You're only removing 1 threat off of the board, whereas Light Bomb, Dragonfire Potion, Excavated Evil can remove a multitude of threats. But there are certainly situations where stealing a big enemy minion, a big enemy threat, is a game-winning play at times. Particularly against Big Priest, actually. You know, stealing, taking a, I don't know, a Ragnaros, for example, or, you know, anything that they need to resurrect, and that they haven't killed off already. Just removing that from the board is a big deal. Okay, so let's have a look at this deck in action here on the Wild Mode ladder. We're going to look at a series of highlights and maybe a full game or two. Now, before we get to the ladder games, this was actually a casual game that I played, just when I was experimenting with this deck, trying it out. And what was pertinent here is that you can win games just with board pressure. This deck plays a series of mid-range threats, mid-range dragons. You can just win through having tempo on board against other sort of mid-rangey decks, or other aggressive decks. So this is a token druid, I believe, that I'm facing. And I just have a series of bodies and threats on the board that he can't deal with.
What secrets will uncover?
And the Bran Zola combo here on Draconid Operative, or Draconid OP as some people like to call him, so good. It's just so very good. It's going to ensure that I have a board presence going forward for the upcoming turns. Yeah, and by the way, Psychic Scream on the treants that come out of Living Mana, that's just incredible as well. It's just absolutely incredible. So, who's the token druid now? Who's the aggro deck now? Yeah, feels pretty amazing. I wish all games on casual were like this on the Wild Ladder. But yeah, speaking of the Wild Ladder,
The light has betrayed me.
Going up against a warrior here, and this is a warrior with tank up. And the trouble in a game like this, these games are slow, they're grindy. I play Shadow Reaper Anduin, sure. But I was also able to discover Dr. Boom, or the hero that is Dr. Boom.
Stay on target. I'm so glad.
Because whilst Shadow Reaper Anduin's hero power is decent, I don't think I'm going to be able to compete with his tank up hero power. I'm certainly not going to be killing him with the Shadow Reaper Anduin hero power. So playing Dr. Boom, or stealing Dr. Boom and then playing Dr. Boom seemed to make sense. And this game saw Thermaplugg make his presence known, which was, I just thought, absolutely incredible, right? And I was looking for a good Entomb target. I mean, I have Light Bomb. I could Psychic Scream, but to be honest, I quite fancy having a Thermaplugg in my deck. And here he is. Certainly not picking the Fel Reaver here. But yeah.
Explosions! More explosions!
Being able to steal something from your opponent and then play it is just really cool. Particularly when it's a card like Thermaplugg.
Engaging TC-130, mental dislocation.
And of course, goes without saying, MC Tech is gonna steal the best minion. Of course it is. Why would it not? But then he brawls. Why would you brawl? You have Thermaplugg back. Oh look, MC Tech survives the brawl as well. Yeah, that MC Tech, absolutely busted. Absolutely broken. Stole the best minion and survived the brawl. Wow. But anyway, we both went to Fatigue. He eventually played Dr. Boom. He'd got the Dr. Boom hero powers going instead of Tank Up. But he'd gained enough arm from Tank Up previously that I just couldn't compete with him. And yeah, losing to a mine and then Fatigue feels amazing. Yeah, tough game that. Tough game.
Give me strength.
Okay, let's look at a game against a Shaman. So we struggled to outlast that warrior with Tank Up, but against an even Shaman, I do believe that we are somewhat favoured. Shadow Reaper Anduin, by the way, really good against 4-mana 7/7s. The trouble is, you play Anduin on 8, and those 4-mana 7/7s tend to come out on turn 4. So, looking at our hand, Dustbreaker, really good, just don't have a dragon. Zola, pretty good, just we don't have anything to bounce back yet. Powered Shield, really good, just nothing to cast it on, unless you count your opponent's minions. Spirit Lash, can't do anything with it. Okay, so I said we were possibly favoured. At the moment, doesn't look like it, because he's just going to do his best now to fill the board with stuff and start whacking my face down. Oh, there's something we can finally do. We can finally play Thalmos and Spirit Lash, but we're going to wait. We want more stuff on board. Having said that, Thalmos, Spirit Lash, it's 2 damage AoE. The Totem Golem survives. That's really unfortunate. But at least it's going to heal us up, right? Oh god. That's really bad. That's really bad. But there's Reno. So we'll be saved eventually when we play Reno. Oh, that's going to be useful. Okay, so the 2 biggest threats on the board are still alive, but we're back to 30. And that's what matters here. We're back to 30. And we're softening his board up. Oh no, I stand corrected. I was going to say we were softening his board up for Excavated Evil, but now he just got a healing totem. Oh god. Oh god. Our face. Our poor face. So, what do you do in this situation? I guess Excavated Evil does something. Okay, there's only 6 damage on the board now. Only 6 damage. Ouch. 7 to the face. So, I guess we have no choice here but to Reno. Although, before we do that, we may want to kill off that 2-2. What does that do? That takes off 4 attack power from the board.
We're gonna be rich.
Yeah. We have to take it off, right? So we're starting to stabilize here, and if he's smart, he'll kill Reno. No, confirmed. Shaman is not smart. I can see what he's doing. He's trying to keep the pressure up, and he's now trying to do damage to my face as much as possible, but by not killing Reno, we get the other one back to hand. And happy to kill Aya there. Sure, he gets a Jade Golem from it, but there's less attack power on the board now. By the way, it would be really nice to get a dragon in hand. You know, I have some dragons in this deck. So he's just played right into Shadow Reaper Anduin.
The light has betrayed me.
That feels really good.
Look at me.
I mean, if it was turn 10, we'd have got a shot in with our hero power as well. But yeah, still looking at that Dustbreaker and thinking, can I get a dragon, please? Dustbreaker would actually do really well against this board right now. This would be the perfect use of Dustbreaker. Okay, maybe not quite so perfect, because there's another 7/7 on board, and still no dragon. But yeah, I think I'll take a 4-mana 7/7. Feels pretty good. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of Entomb. I think it's a good card. I know there are some people who would disagree with me, but look, we've just managed to steal a 4-mana 7/7. That's one of his substantial threats gone. Oh, there's another substantial threat. But yeah, even Shaman just keeps refilling the board. You win the game once you run them out of threats. That's how it goes. Our health total here is not especially healthy, particularly with the Lich King on board. So, the priority is to get rid of that Lich King. How do we do that? Bit of math involved here, bit of calculation involved. That's not especially great, but you had to expect something like that to happen, right? To be honest, I didn't have to play Dirty Rat. I could have played the 2-cost spell in my hand, and then we wouldn't have a 6/5 on board. So maybe that was a bit of a misplay from me. What does he steal? Oh, God, he steals Azdrake. Ugh. Steals my dragon. I needed that dragon for my Dustbreaker. Oh dear. Again, refilling the board. Okay. Shadow Visions. It's not a dragon. But it could help me discover something useful here to clear the board. Oh well, all three of those are pretty decent, I guess. I'm going to take the Light Bomb here. It is a full board clear. Psychic Scream, well, a near enough full board clear. Psychic Scream would have put those things back in his deck. I guess we don't want to do that. We're feeling pretty safe here now. Because we have Reno. What's he doing? He knows I have a Reno. Why is he Okay, he's developing the threats. He wants a 4-4 and a 5-5. So even if I do Reno, he can still have those minions on board and they can still go back to hitting my face. Okay, I kind of understand it. And there's a dragon, finally!
Meddlesome insect.
Okay. And we just heal our face, because we're scared of crackles and other shenanigans. I guess one thing to be hopeful for is it's even shaman, so there's no threat of lava bursts. For those of you that have been playing Hearthstone for a while, you'll remember aggro shaman with Thermapluggs and lava bursts back in the day. So he's now nearly out of threats. My priority is still to control the board. And I think there are different ways of accomplishing that. And they all revolve around using this priest hero power.
Beware the shadow.
I think what it came down to there is what minion did I want to play from my hand. I had the choice of this dragon, or I could have played the Kazakus. Maybe I should have played the Kazakus, because now my Draconid operative does not have a dragon to bounce off of. Okay. Okay, it now does have something it can combo with. Oh look, another Draconid operative. I'm actually a big fan of all three of these cards, but yeah, you always pick the Draconid OP, right? Oh look, there's my card, Excavated Evil. At this stage of the game, I'm not particularly fond of any of those choices, but I guess Excavated is sensible. It's another board clear if I would ever need it. I would have liked to have seen a thing from below or a sea giant, something a bit more substantial. Okay, so Excavated Evil kind of clears the board there. It's fine. Still would have preferred a sea giant or a thing from below. Still wanting to hit my face. Oh, the eel didn't do anything. What a shame.
Let me change your mind.
To err is human.
So I thought about the Kazakus, but this seemed fine. Ooh, we get Stalag. Oh yeah, we have lethal.
Is someone injured?
Is someone injured? Yep, your face is injured. And we didn't even need the second Reno. Feels amazing. Okay, so Tezzmizzet's Dragon Reno Priest. What do I think of this deck? Let's start out with what I like. I love dragons, right? Dragons are amazing. I love playing dragons, and this deck has rekindled my love of playing dragons in Hearthstone. I think you can perhaps debate the choices of some of the dragons, and depending on what you're facing in the meta, put some dragons in, take some dragons out. You know, but it's still really fun playing dragons. What do I not like about this deck? It can be really slow. As you saw earlier, I spent ages waiting for a dragon to activate my Dustbreaker. just couldn't find one. And sometimes that can mean the difference between winning and losing a game. Anyway, at least though it's not as slow as Reno Mage. Reno Mage can spend an entire game just reacting to what an opponent does with spells, whereas this deck, if you do find the dragons early, you can get a bit of a mid-range presence going on the board, which can be enough to just win the game. In fact, we saw that in the first highlight of this video. Sometimes just a couple of Draconid operatives and a Twilight Guardian and an Azure Drake on board can just wreak absolute havoc, particularly when you can heal them up after trading and then they can start going face. And if your opponent doesn't have an answer to those mid-range threats, it's game over. But in the last highlight, as you saw, I was just waiting forever to get a dragon in hand. The other issues with this deck are that comparative to Reno Lock, it's just not as good. Reno Lock can get cards that it needs earlier through tapping, and that is especially important against Combo Druid. Combo Druid, now that you didn't see the games that I played against Combo Druid, but let's just say I got thrashed every single time, and Combo Druid, particularly Star Aligner Druid, is still a big deal on the wild mode ladder. I'm not facing it as much as I did at the start of the Boomsday expansion, but a lot of people are still playing it. And what you need to find is you need to find Dirty Rat and Deathlord. Those two cards are absolutely key. Ideally comboing Dirty Rat with Bran right before they play their combo. But this is a Reno deck, and you're playing one-offs, one-off copies of each card, and therefore finding those cards in time can be a big issue. Especially considering that you can't tap for cards and your card draw is more limited in this deck compared to Reno Lock. With Reno Lock, you can tap at the start and hope to find those combo disruption pieces in time. You also have more options with Reno Lock. A lot of people play Demonic Project, which is a big deal. And Gnome Ferratu. So 2 additional combo disruption tools in Reno Lock. But regardless though, this deck is still super fun to play, and I recommend that you guys give it a try, see what you think. It is a Reno deck, so you still have Reno Jackson to heal up, that's still a big deal, and you know, there can be arguments over the inclusion of certain cards in terms of, you know, what cards you tech in, what cards you tech out, and of course that all depends on the kind of meta that you're facing. So if you guys have any comments about this deck, if you have any recommendations on cards you'd like to see played in it, certainly leave your comments in the comment section below, and we can look into that. I'm probably not playing this deck as well as it should be played. You've probably seen a couple of instances in this video where I could have sneaked in an extra 2 damage from the Priest hero power, but due to my inability to calculate things correctly, would sometimes miss a little bit of damage. If I was playing this deck in an optimal manner, if I practiced with it for a while and then started playing it properly, maybe things would go a little bit better for me with this deck. So yeah, maybe I just need to spend more time playing it. But regardless, it's been a super fun experience, so thank you to Tezzmizzet, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, for this deck, and a big thank you to Alby Bro, a viewer on our channel, for bringing this deck to my attention. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys all again very soon for more wild or standard fun in Hearthstone. Do take care now, see you soon.